Hello and welcome dear students. Today we are going to discuss about an important topic of endocrinology, that is the pineal gland in biological rhythms and reproduction. And the objectives of today's lecture are to have a detailed introduction of the pineal gland, followed by a brief outlook of the secretions of the pineal gland. We'll also try to explain the process of regulation of the pineal gland hormone. After that, we'll also try to describe the role of pineal gland in biological rhythms. And finally, we'll elaborate the role of pineal gland in reproduction, followed by some general functions of the pineal gland. To begin with, let us first have a detailed introduction of the pineal gland. The pineal gland, also called as the pineal organ or the pineal body, it is an important endocrine gland present in the vertebrates. The word pineal is derived from a Latin word pinea, which means pine cone, because the gland looks like a cone as represented in the given figure. Pineal gland is the source of melatonin hormone, which is primarily involved in regulating the body's internal clock. As we can see in the given figure, the pineal gland is a small pea-shaped gland about 0.1 grams in weight and approximately 0.3 inches in length. It is generally located between the right and left hemispheres, deep in the center of the brain. The pineal gland contains adrenergic nerves which strongly affect its function. The gland is composed of pinealocytes and supporting cells similar to that of the astrocytes of the brain. The pineal gland is the only endocrine gland which is directly affected by the external environment. The information is transmitted from the retinal photoreceptors to the suprachiasmatic nuclei, then to the paraventricular nuclei and to the superior cervical ganglia through the intermediolateral cell column. The pineal gland is generally considered as a mysterious gland because in terms of the function of the endocrine gland, it was the last to be discovered. Pineal gland is present at the posterior end of the corpus callosum, forming a section of the roof in the posterior wall of the third ventricle. After puberty, the pineal gland begins to calcify, which makes it a valuable marker in X-rays and CT scans. The pineal gland is generally large in children and then reduces at puberty. However, the exact role of the pineal gland and melatonin in the human pubertal development is still unclear. By secreting the hormone melatonin, the pineal gland regulates the circadian rhythms of the dark light cycle. The pineal gland also performs a major function in the regulation of the female hormone levels. It also affects the fertility and the menstrual cycle in females. According to a research study, melatonin can also help against several cardiovascular diseases. Let us now know about the pineal gland secretions. The pineal gland is responsible for the synthesis and secretion of melatonin, which is a structurally simple hormone, as shown in the given picture. Involved in communicating information from the external environment to various parts of the body. Melatonin regulates biological rhythms and has profound effects on the reproductive functions of various animals. Melatonin is an amine hormone. The precursor of melatonin is serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter derived from the amino acid tryptophan. Serotonin is first acetylated and then methylated to yield the melatonin hormone in the pineal gland. The light exposure to the eyes affects the synthesis and secretion of melatonin. The duration of melatonin secretion each day is directly proportional to the night length. The exposure to bright artificial light during the night disturbs the normal pattern of melatonin production. It is also affected by the cross time zones rapidly, such as long-distance air travel results in jet lag. Now let us understand a little about the regulation of the pineal gland hormone. The suprachiasmatic nucleus in the hypothalamus acts as an internal body clock which interacts with an external rhythm stimulus, in this case light, in order to coordinate melatonin release with the external day-night cycle. This mechanism allows the conversion of inhibitory light stimuli into a hormonal stimulus, which regulates the circadian rhythm, seasonal breeding rhythms, and also hibernation in animals. Because of its melatonin production, the pineal gland is very essential for the maintenance of the sleep-wake cycle and circadian rhythm. Melatonin is also synthesized in the vertebrate retina apart from the pineal gland and transduces information about environmental light through local receptors. In the melatonin biosynthesis, the enzyme called serotonin N-acetyltransferase catalyzes the conversion of serotonin to N-acetylserotonin. The compound is then catalyzed to melatonin by the enzyme acetylserotonin O-methyltransferase. Let us now discuss the role of the pineal gland in biological rhythms. Organisms express different types of rhythms such as annual, seasonal, lunar, and circadian rhythms. Rhythmic behavior represents one of the most important mechanisms of life. As far as the circadian rhythm is concerned, it is a 24-hour biological cycle which is characterized by sleep-wake patterns as shown in the figure. It is defined as the physiological, psychological, and behavioral cycle which causes changes in the hormone secretion and wakefulness. Together, these actions ensure that the physiological processes suited to sleep time, such as mental growth, occur at night, while as the processes necessary for daytime, like alertness, glucose availability, occur during the day. The daylight and darkness periods help regulate the circadian rhythm. Light exposure stops the melatonin release, which in turn helps in controlling the circadian rhythms. Melatonin secretion is low during the daylight hours, while it is high during the dark periods, which also affects our reaction to the photo period. The circadian system contains a central internal biological master clock which lies in the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus and also the peripherally located biological clocks located in the liver and heart. Peripheral clocks work independent of the external light-dark cycle, but they are synchronized by the master clock which lies in the suprachiasmatic nucleus of the hypothalamus. Now, circadian rhythm disruption. Dear students, do you know what happens if the circadian rhythm is disrupted? Let's understand it. The long-term disruption in the synchrony of the circadian rhythms can result in various types of disorders such as obesity, insomnia, impaired glucose tolerance, and early death. The various important body activities like rest, memory processing, cellular repair, and other related processes which are best suited for nighttime take place at night. Similarly, the activities like glucose availability, activeness, etc., which are best suited for daytime take place during the day. Disruption of the circadian system occurs as a result of certain external conditions like light at night during shift work or crossing meridian time zones, jet lag, genetic predisposition or abnormalities affecting the function of the retinohypothalamic system, melatonin production, physical damage to the pineal gland, tumors, and many other related conditions. As represented in the given figure, the circadian disruption for a long period can result in the following. Number first, cancer. The International Agency for Research on Cancer in 2007 classified shift work involving circadian disruption as a probable carcinogen. A reduction in melatonin level is associated with a number of tumors including prostate, endometrial, and breast cancers. Number second, seasonal affective disorder. It is a subtype of depression which characteristically occurs during the winter months. It is generally associated with genetic aberrations affecting the retinohypothalamic tract. It also causes phase shift in the circadian cycle, which worsens as sunlight hours reduce. Number third, rheumatoid arthritis. Persons suffering from rheumatoid arthritis have abnormalities in the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis. These are reflected in altered circadian rhythm of circulating serum cortisol, melatonin, and interleukin-6 levels, and also in chronic fatigue. Let us now discuss the role of pineal gland in reproduction. Pineal gland has been found to be involved in multiple activities such as enhancing sex, promoting sleep, enhancing mood, and increasing longevity, and more. Earlier, the pineal gland was considered as non-functional, but many psychologists believed that pineal gland might play an important role in controlling the sexual activities and reproductive functions of organisms. Then, after years of dispute, the pineal gland was finally identified to play a regulatory role in the sexual and reproductive functions. The physiological effects of melatonin secreted by the pineal gland on the reproductive functions of different animals is species dependent, but the role of melatonin in gonadal function suppression has been reported in many species of animals. According to a research study done by Wortman and his associates, melatonin has a direct inhibitory effect on the gonads. Another important study done successfully on the neuroendocrine reproductive axis has shown that melatonin affects the hypothalamic neurons, thereby reducing the frequency of the growth hormone releasing hormone pulses. And through the inhibition of gonadotropin secretion, it exerts an inhibitory action on the gonads. Melatonin administration for the induction of short photoperiod has also been reported to be of commercial importance in increasing the breeding process and other characteristics as well. Pineal gland plays an important role in controlling the seasonal fertility in some species of animals. In lower animals which bear their young at certain specific seasons of the year, or in which the pineal gland has been removed, the normal periods of seasonal fertility are almost lost. To these animals, such seasonal fertility is important because it allows birth of the offspring at the time of the year, when the survival is most likely. The pineal gland is controlled by the amount of light perceived by the eyes, and the melatonin secreted is believed to pass through blood or the fluid of the third ventricle to the anterior pituitary gland in order to decrease the gonadotropic hormone secretion. Therefore, in the presence of pineal gland secretion, the gonadotropic hormone secretion is suppressed in few animal species, and the gonads become inhibited and partly involuted. This is the mechanism followed during the early winter months when there is increasing darkness, and then after few months of non-function, the gonadotropic hormone secretion breaks through the inhibitory effect of the pineal gland, and the gonads become functional again for full springtime activity. As far as we humans are concerned, the pineal gland does have a role in controlling sexual drive and reproduction. In the region of the pineal gland, several tumors, which are often associated with hypergonadal or hypergonadal function, are known to occur. Let us now have a general look at the major functions of the pineal gland. Some important functions performed by the pineal gland includes the following. Number first, functions of the pineal gland via melatonin. A sleep disorder could be a sign of pineal gland dysfunction, and it also indicates that the pineal gland is not producing melatonin in proper required concentrations. One way to control the melatonin levels in the body is the use of melatonin supplements. Supplements can help in better sleep. They can also help to realign the circadian rhythm while traveling to a different time zone or working at a night shift. But melatonin supplements may cause some side effects as well, such as sleepiness and drowsiness, anxiety, confusion, etc. Number second, pineal gland and the cardiovascular health. According to a recent study, there is a close relationship between the melatonin hormone secreted by the pineal gland and the cardiovascular health. Many studies have reported that melatonin could have a positive effect on the heart and blood pressure. The researchers have also concluded that melatonin could be used in the treatment of cardiovascular disease. Now, pineal gland and the female hormones. According to various studies, exposure to light and related melatonin levels could impact the menstrual cycle in females. Impaired melatonin levels could result in the development of irregular menstrual cycles. Now, moving on to pineal gland in mood stabilization. The risk for certain mood disorders could be indicated by the size of the pineal gland. According to a research study, a lower pineal gland volume may increase the risk of developing various mood disorders, including schizophrenia. Now, pineal gland and cancer. Different research studies have suggested that there could be a possible connection between an impaired pineal gland function and cancer risk. A latest study on rats reported that an impaired pineal gland function through overexposure to light led to cellular damage and an increased risk of developing colon cancer. Dear students, in a nutshell, we can say that the pineal gland is one of the most important endocrine glands, which is best known for its melatonin hormone secretion. The gland plays a major role in regulating the biological rhythms as well as the reproductive functions of the body. The melatonin hormone is released into the blood and also into the cerebrospinal fluid. Melatonin secreted by the pineal gland is generally responsible for regulating the body's daily clock. There is a rhythm to the biology of the pineal gland, and melatonin is secreted according to the amount of daylight a person is exposed to. It varies with changes in day length, which is why the pineal gland is also referred to as both an endocrine clock and an endocrine calendar. Dear students, it was all about today's lecture. Hope you have understood it well. Goodbye.